So we got the Echo 362 TES, a top handle saw. Just going to run through the bad points, or the points that I don't like. The first thing, and probably the biggest thing, is the catches. So the air filter catch here, you have to use a flathead screwdriver or a scrunch. Same here. You are meant to be able to undo these with your hand. The fuel one, which is this one, isn't too bad. It does get a bit tight, but you can just about do it. The oil one, after a while, I don't know why, maybe because the oil's thicker and it gets all the bits inside, but sometimes it is impossible to undo by hand, so you have to have just keep a scrunch nearby or a flathead. But over time, I don't know if you can see already, I've only had this saw just over a month. It's already kind of like tearing it up in there, so you know, after a couple of twists on that, and that is going to be knackered. So you'll probably have to resort to whacking it with a hammer, maybe, I guess, trying to undo it, which is a pain. They're actually smaller than the 2511, which is the smaller version than this, so you can't sort of retrofit any other caps that I know of anyway. The other thing with these, not that you'll be able to see with the camera, but you can't fit the Stihl auto cap in there. I'll show you on a video, but they don't fit in there. To me, I think that is a massive flaw. You know, when they designed this, obviously loads of people have that auto filler cap thing, and it's basically exactly the same size, so it won't even go in there. So if you've got a can like what I've got, you have to take that cap off and then try and like manually pull it in there, and you just end up spilling fuel everywhere, so you can't fill up on grass or flower beds or anything like that. So yeah, big downside that is. I do like the twist caps. I think, you know, because they just go straight on, rather than the Stihl one. Sometimes, especially the oil one, is a pain to do, or you know, sometimes it won't quite go on, and then you pick the saw up and it leaks. So at least with these, you know that they're on. But yeah, the fact that you can't get the filler cap in is, to me, a big downside. So to prime it, you have to hold the trigger down and push it forward, and then off is down. So if you're used to the Stihl saws, then yeah, that is different. But if you just get used to it, then it's fine, it's not a problem. While we're on the handle, this thing here, this is just a bit of squidgy material. The reason that's there is because this, I have quite big hands anyway, but this handle size from here to here is huge. So if I put my hand down here, and this is the big attachment, when you get this, you get two of these attachments, one's small, one's big. This is the big one. So when you're holding it there and you're using it, especially if you're sort of putting your hand forward, your hand kind of naturally slips down here. So then when you go to try and turn it off, it is quite a reach to sort of, I know that on camera it looks fairly easy, but to actually try and get your thumb all the way up there and sort of turn it off, it's a longer reach than the Stihls and Huskies. So to turn this on, primer bulb, choke it, so kind of like a halfway between a 201 and a 150, I guess. Yeah, you can get away with not primer bulbing it, it just takes more pulls. Another thing that I'm not a fan of, this isn't just this saw, this is saws in general, is the tension screw is on the plastic. So if you undo this, the tension screw is actually on this plastic. I'll show you that. I'll take this off and I'll show you that. So this is with the side casing off. So just a quick overview of what I've done to this. So I've changed the sprocket to 1/4 inch, which in a nutshell just means that I can put this bar on, so a small carving bar and a smaller chain. I've put the West Coast dogs on, which are wicked. The dogs you get with this are tiny, and the top one kind of is down here, whereas this kind of points up. So yeah, that helps a lot. I've put the little foam on there just to kind of help the handle length, and I've put the exhaust port on there as well. opened up the exhaust back here just to let a bit of more air in, and I've done the time in advance as So one good thing about this, or I think is good, is that it is very minimal. There's no, like, you know, bits where they've tried to save weight, like on the stills. There's sort of creases and holes everywhere. It is very minimal, so it's very easy to clean. It doesn't clog up very easy. There's a load of space sort of between the sprocket and the back panel in there, so getting the chain on and off is really easy. But like I was saying about the tension screw, there's no tension screw here. It is here on the actual side casing. So the only downside to that is when you're trying to put, it's easy to put the chain on, and the bar, you can just put the bar on, put the chain straight over and it's on. But then you have to line that up. So if you haven't loosened this off, you have to loosen that off and then try and line it up when you put it on. Another thing with the side casing, the screws come off, so they don't stay in there. I know not all models do that, but this particular one does. Other saws do it as well, other brands do that. But yeah, that is a bit annoying, especially if you're in the tree and you want to tighten your chain. Sometimes they can come off and then obviously you've lost a bolt. I just think the design where they stay on, you can retrofit them to this, you can buy those and retrofit them on. But yeah, this particular model, they come off, which is a bit annoying. Quick look at the carb. Again, it's very simple. Even with this thing off, the carb, when you bring it out, it's nice and easy to get out. That's the air filter, so it's just a flexi foam one, pretty cheap to replace. It's a bit dirty, so could do with a clean. Another thing that is annoying is the clutch, trying to get that off. It's not the hex screw like other models are. I know most of the stills are just a little hex screw, so you can get your torque wrench thing and just whiz it off. This, you have to buy a special kind of nut bolt thing that fits around there. If you don't have one of those, then you just have to kind of hit it. So you have to basically, the spark plug, which is in here, you have to jam the piston inside and then put something on here and just kind of tap it loose. As you can see, I tapped there first and it actually chipped a bit off. So if you're going to do this, put it kind of in here, so not on this outside bit, which I did there and it chipped. Try and put it in there. If even better, if you can get it on both, so you're kind of hitting both of them. But yeah, try and get it so you're not going to break anything. So I've listed quite a lot of bad things, or annoying things more like, but to actually run, this thing, when it's warm, pretty much starts at first pull every time. I like the chain brake, the fact that it's not connected, so if you want to change it, you don't have to take all of this off, because it's just connected there. So it's just a case of taking a couple of bolts out and changing the actual brake band. You don't have to take all this off, which is nice. It's just quite a simple saw. Like I said about all the stuff in there's not a lot of holes or a lot of things in the way to go wrong. I mean, for the price, it is pretty much a third, nearly half the price than a 201 and a 194 at that matter. I think they're, those two saws are a lot more expensive than this. It feels nice to use. It is comfy once you get used to the handle and the switch. I actually do quite like the pushy down thing, like I say, because the handle's quite long, and when you want to turn it off, instead of having to sort of stretch like that, you just push it down. If you're clever with the trigger, you can, instead of having it turn off and stay off, and when you press the trigger it doesn't come back on, you can just about sort of like push it like this. You can just about do that, and it will turn off, and then it's in on position, ready to go again. But yeah, especially with the 1/4 inch, it cuts very, very nice. It is a powerful saw. For takedowns, it is brilliant. And because you have to buy a longer chain than you would normally buy for this 14-inch bar, you basically get more of the bar. So you kind of get nearly an inch more. Obviously on a 201 or a 150, if you were to put this 14-inch bar on, this wouldn't be showing. It would be in more, but where the tension screw is on here, you actually get a longer bar. So that is kind of why it looks quite long, because you are essentially getting nearly a 15-inch bar rather than a 14. And that would be the same if you went 12, you would get a 13-inch bar. Just because you have to buy a longer chain. I think off the top of my head, it's 72 drive links for this bar, but this I think is 75, near enough. Just because it needs to be longer to sort of compensate for where the screw is here. Cheap parts to buy and replace, even though it is built very well. There are some things on here that, like the screws and how things go together, are really nice. Like I say, the only thing that for me, I mean, there's a few niggly bits that you can kind of oversee, but for me personally, the caps are the worst thing. You know, if I, like, here's my fuel can, so if I say to someone, can you just put some fuel in, they have to take that off and then try and pour it in there. And if you haven't, most of the time you haven't got a funnel to hand, and like I say, if they go really tight, you have to then get a scrunch, which can be very annoying. But that is the biggest thing for me. All the other things I can sort of overlook. Oh, one more thing actually, if you want to adjust this, and if you port it, you kind of have to turn the carb up a little bit, or adjust the carb. If you want to do that, you have to buy a special tool. Actually, I think I've got the tool here, but they're not a screw or a flathead. They are this special tool, which you can buy a pack off Amazon. So it's that way. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Will it focus? Yeah, kind of. So it's kind of like 2 flat bits, top and bottom, and then rounded either side. But yeah, you have to buy one of those if you want to adjust the carb, which if you try and mod this, I personally think you will have to. Yeah, we'll try and show you in there. There we go. But that's simple enough to do if you do want to modify this. But yeah, so overall, I like it. Good saw, fairly lightweight, powerful, good for takedowns. I would definitely recommend putting this bar on there. The 3/8 bar that comes with it isn't very good at all. It just does. It's very jumpy with the 3/8. It's very sort of, even when you've got a fresh sharp chain, it is, especially if you use the top of the bar, it's very jumpy. Whereas with this, it's smooth. You can kind of bore cut in. If you're doing big wood and you don't want to sort of reach around to step cut, you can just bore straight in with that. I would buy one again. Like I say, for the price, yeah, pretty good for the price. And it looks cool. It's a cool looking saw. But yeah, hope this was helpful anyway. Any questions, feel free to get in touch.